One tends to wonder if God is about ready to cut Israel off into the time of Jacob's trouble coming up very quickly on Feast of Trumpets, possibly this year, maybe in relationship to what she's about ready to do in a couple weeks that we're going to talk about. But let's get God's point of view on what's going on.
Your wound. For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I, even I, will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him. I will go and return to my place, till they acknowledge their offense, and seek my face. In their affliction they will seek me early. Chapter 6. Come, and let us return unto the Lord. For I desired mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. But they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. There have they dealt treacherously against me. Gilead is a city of them that work iniquity, and is polluted with blood. And as troops of robbers wait for a man, so the company of priests murder in the way by consent, for they commit lewdness. I have seen an horrible thing in the house of Israel. There is the whoredom of Ephraim. Israel is defiled. Also, O Judah, he hath set an harvest for thee, when I returned the captivity of my people. Chapter 7. When I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria, for they commit falsehood. And the thief cometh in, and the troop of robbers spoileth without. And they consider not in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face. They make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies. They are all adulterers, as an oven heated by the baker, who ceaseth from raising after he hath kneaded the dough until it be leavened. In the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners. For they have made ready their heart like an oven, whilst they lie in wait. Their baker sleepeth all the night. In the morning it burneth as a flaming fire. They are all hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calleth unto me. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, grey hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth not. And the pride of Israel testifieth to his face. And they do not return to the Lord their God, nor seek him for all this. Ephraim also is like a silly dove, without heart. They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria. When they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of the heaven. I will chastise them as their congregation hath heard. Woe unto them, for they have fled from me. Destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I had redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me. And they have not cried unto me with their heart, when they howled upon their beds. They assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me. Though I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me. They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword, for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt.
Slavery.
Chapter 8. Set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Lord, because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed against my law. Israel shall cry unto me, My God, we know thee. Israel hath cast off the thing that is good. The enemy shall pursue him. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I knew it not. Of their silver and their gold have they made them idols, that they may be cut off. Thy calf, O Samaria, hath cast thee off. Mine anger is kindled against them. How long will it be ere they attain to innocency? For from Israel was it also. The workman made it, therefore it is not God. But the calf of Samaria shall be broken in pieces. For they have sown the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. It hath no stalk, the bud shall yield no meal. If so be it yield, the strangers shall swallow it up. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. For they are gone up to Assyria, a wild ass alone by himself. Ephraim hath hired lovers. Yea, though they have hired among the nations, now will I gather them, and they shall sorrow a little for the burden of the king of princes. Because Ephraim hath made many altars to sin, altars shall be unto him to sin. I have written to him the great things of my law, but they were counted as a strange thing. They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offerings, and eat it. But the Lord accepteth them not. Now will he remember their iniquity, and visit their sins.
Go.
They shall return to Egypt.
Slavery.
For Israel hath forgotten his Maker, and buildeth temples, and Judah hath multiplied fenced cities. But I will send a fire upon his cities, and it shall devour the palaces thereof. Chapter 9. Rejoice not, O Israel, for joy as other people, for thou hast gone a-whoring from thy God. Thou hast blood the reward upon every corn floor. The floor and the winepress shall not feed them, and the new wine shall fail in her. They shall not dwell in the Lord's land, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and they shall eat unclean things in Assyria. They shall not offer wine offerings to the Lord, neither shall they be pleasing unto him. Their sacrifices shall be unto them as the bread of mourners. All that eat thereof shall be polluted, for their bread for their soul shall not come into the house of the Lord. What will ye do in the solemn day, and in the day of the feast of the Lord? For lo, they are gone because of destruction. Egypt shall gather them up, Memphis shall bury them. The pleasant places for their silver nettles shall possess them. Thorn shall be in their tabernacles. The days of visitation are come, the days of recompense are come. Israel shall know it. The prophet is a fool, the spiritual man is mad for the multitude of thine iniquity and the great hatred. The watchman of Ephraim was with my God, but the prophet is a snare of the fowler in all his ways, and hatred in the house of his God. They have deeply corrupted themselves, as in the days of Gibeah. Therefore he will remember their iniquity, he will visit their sins. I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at her first time. But they went to Baal Peor, and separated themselves unto that shame, and their abominations were according as they loved. As for Ephraim, their glory shall fly away like a bird, from the birth, and from the womb, and from the conception. Though they bring up their children, yet will I bereave them, that there shall not be a man left. Yea, woe also to them when I depart from them. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breasts. All their wickedness is in Gilgal, for there I hated them. For the wickedness of their doings I will drive them out of mine house. I will love them no more. All their princes are revolters. Ephraim is smitten, their root is dried up, they shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations.
So we literally could go on and on and on in Hosea, because the main theme of Hosea is God coming and pouring out all this love and gracious forgiveness, help, and assistance, provision, and much more to Israel. And there's this theme of idolatry, serial idolatry, serial, nonstop. And there's all this mention of sacrifices. And when you look at the Olivet Discourse, and you look at books that start from the Old Testament tying into that, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Habakkuk, and so on, many more can be added to that. You're starting to see that God has a voice in this. When you have this universal prayer, this non-Jewish sacrifice on the Mount of Olives to cancel out the war of Gog and Magog. There's so much going on in this article, but I just was so taken with reading Hosea and seeing God's warning to them. And it was like we were interviewing him through the Bible, with his take on this. And as it has been, so shall it be. As he cut them off before, one wonders if this is the trigger event, if this is the one final slap in the face to Yahweh 3 days before Rosh Hashanah, or Rosh Hashanah, Feast of Trumpets, with this worldwide covenant and this forging ahead that no, we're going to do it our way, which, God's totally not down with that. They've cut him out of the Bible. I'll bring them to my sacred mount and let them rejoice in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices shall be welcome. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Isaiah 56:7. It's also in Isaiah 2. They're just doing whatever they want and trying to stamp his name of approval on it. And they're out worshiping the God of this world and saying that that's the God of the Bible. And here you have the God of the Bible who, in just those couple of chapters, and much more could be said, there's 14 chapters in Isaiah. The end of Isaiah, I'm sorry, not Isaiah, Hosea, excuse me. Hosea, the end of it is return to me. He's still kind. But look at this. This is the unthinkable. They're forging ahead, and I tend to wonder if this is going to be the final straw where Yahweh has to react, because he has a point, and he knows what that point is, and that's why he left us the word. So one wonders, is this the final slap in the face where God goes, you don't want me? Okay, let's pull up accounts. Let's see. Let's go ahead, and those who didn't want me, you can be left behind for the 7 fun-filled years. Maybe some of you will change your mind, and some do. And those who didn't, let's go. Let's go to the marriage. The conference of the Organization of the 70 Nations, which is Jew speak for like complete, if you will culminate on Friday, September 27th with a ceremony in which an animal sacrifice will be offered on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem to renew the covenant made between God and all of mankind. Where to start with the problems with this? One of my subscribers have pointed out, thankfully, that the Mount of Olives is so packed with meaning because what is termed the second coming at the end of the end, what is the Feast of Trumpets? No, I'm sorry, scratch that. The Feast of Atonement, I'm sorry, excuse me, right here. Yom Kippur, when the Lord comes back, right? Here's a rapture here, Rosh Hashanah, 7 years. And then he comes back here on the Day of Atonement. He will return to the Mount of Olives. When I was doing a little bit of research, I found out that when he ascended, just right before the Pentecost event in Acts 2, he left from the Mount of Olives. There's so many levels of slapping him in the face. I can't even begin to tell you. The fact that they say, well, we can't do the sacrifice, but we're totally going to help the Gentiles do it. And it's almost like these Chabad Jews, not all Jews, but the Chabad Jews who are in union with the UN are just so elated about this animal sacrifice. They say here that it is forbidden for the Jews to make an animal sacrifice outside the temple, but a non-Jew can, right? The Gentiles. So they want to get them involved in that process. There's quite a lot in here, and they are taking dictation from Rambam. The altar must be built exclusively by non-Jews who observe the Noahide laws, and the same is true of the sacrifice itself. The original sacrifice, they tell you, was by Noah after he exited the ark. Well, this was a whole celebration of Thanksgiving that they survived, because there was only 8 people out of all those people that survived. And they were pretty excited about living and being grateful to God. What are these guys doing? The exact opposite. Here's their statement. The basis for the conference: we, the offspring of those who exited the ark with Noah, Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the representatives of the 70 nations, ascended to the Temple Mount in order to pray to God to bring about the words of the prophets and to, look at this, cancel out the judgments of the war of Gog and Magog. Does the war of Gog and Magog come on because the Islamic people, maybe not at the top in the leadership, but the people under them, go, I'm not getting under the Noahide, and that's a big holy war? And Satan, you can see Satan playing both sides of the fence. Is that what happens? I don't know. They go on to say, we seek today to renew the eternal covenant God made with those who left the ark in order to prevent any flood or other forms of catastrophe. They say that the renewal of the covenant comes at a time when such dangers abound, and it also seems that some men have forgotten their part in the covenant with God and their responsibilities. So they are manipulating you that if you don't get with this, you're going to be the cause of a big giant global war, and the earth is going to be destroyed all because of you. That's what they're doing.